Hey everybody, you're watching episode 4, season 1 of Business in the Raw, only on 100 TV. Hey everybody, I'm Rebecca Gunter, host of Business in the Raw, and this is episode 4. If you're just joining us, we're about a third of the way through this season, where we take 12 weeks to follow a single entrepreneur on her journey to explore a bold and beautiful business brand to open up the next chapter of her life. When we started this journey, Janine had a lot of talents, and she wasn't quite sure what she was going to apply to business. Was it going to be around gardening and community centers? Was it going to be around audio recording, podcasts, and voiceover? Was it going to be something in between? After 3 sessions of deep discovery, Janine and I realized that what's truly calling her is a voiceover agency, but it's got to be done her way. That means she's honoring her audience and her ancestry. Follow along as we pick up on that discovery. Part 2, we wrap up the work of discovery with the ends of coming up with a positioning statement that will answer the following questions. Who are her people? What do they need? Who is she? What does she deliver? Why is she special, different, or the one? I invite you to a ringside seat as we do the deep work of brand co-creation and spark something wonderful and magical that feels like a total yes to Janine Payne. So maybe the size and type of the organization doesn't matter, and maybe whether it's Lena or a Paulette doesn't matter. Maybe for you, what matters is either the end user, like what I'm hearing from you, and I'll give you like 2 options, but the first one, the end user, what I'm hearing from you is my work has to do no harm.
Yes.
And if it
Y-
does harm to the end user, I am not going to do it.
I am not
So
going to do it.
maybe you're not for Lena and you're not for Paul or Paulette and you're not for you're not for brands who are trying to market differently or do things better. Again, on the target, we're not alienating them. But maybe what you're really for is for the listener. Maybe the listener
That's
needs to
interesting.
hear themselves reflected in your voice. Trust that, there's something out in the world that wasn't here to harm them or exploit them or take over their lives in some kind of way. So maybe you're about the listener and what they need and what voiceover industry as a whole has not delivered, and you're here to fill that hole. Or maybe you're for the products. I'm for podcasts. I'm for teaching materials and adult learning. I'm from nonprofit advocacy. I'm for calls to action. I'm for justice initiatives. So maybe you're for a particular type. I'm for song. I'm for spirit. I'm for that. I'm for this. So are you for a person? Paul, Paulette, blah blah blah. Are you for the audience? I care about what the user, the listener is doing and how they're interpreting my message, how that's impacting my life. Or is it for the product, podcast, adult learning, campaigns, blah blah blah? Those are 3 kind of options of who you might be for. Turning over to you, Janine, for thoughts.
It feels as though those are
Again,
limiting, and why? I have to ask
it
myself
doesn't,
why.
yeah, like even if we decide I'm for the audience, even if we decide, that doesn't mean Lena's never going to hire you. Doesn't mean Paul's never going to hire you. You might find it interesting that Paul is for the audience, that his positioning is about giving the audience access to the teams, organizations, and causes that they love. So he cares about igniting and inspiring a fan base. And by doing that,
Wow.
organization wins. Because once you have a fan base, you've done the thing.
Yep.
So
Yep.
everybody wins in his scenario, but he is for a fan base. He's for the listener, the watcher, for the audience. And the organizations hire him to ignite and inspire that audience. So you can easily be for the product or the audience and not really be for people, and still people win.
Yeah, and so I wrote down the listener because that's where we a listener, the audience, yeah. That is definitely a focus, but what's interesting about this, it just feels a little different than how we started out talking about which of those categories, because if we're talking issues-based issues, you mentioned gun, you mentioned and I mentioned tobacco. Tobacco, there certainly is an audience out there. There are organizations, whether or not they're nonprofit or what is it, 500, what is it? I can't think, but who have great messaging to support families in decision making, helping young people with decision making around health and other issues and social issues. That's important to me. I've never necessarily thought of it that way, so this is why this is yeah, it's just it's really interesting, and I have challenges trying to really define and I know this is what this process is about, but at the end of the day, don't wanna hurt I don't want my voice to I think you mentioned this,
Do you know
to
harm?
harm others. I want my voice to support. So whatever the product is, it still could be lifestyle, supporting your lifestyle, but not in a way that I know, particularly with my public health background, that is harmful to your health. Yeah.
Okay. Let's
Yeah.
talk about your voice then. We said do no harm, and now we're in the it does good. What is that? What does your voice do?
There has to be, for me, trust in the delivery has to communicate trust. Most people could care less unless I'm some big entertainer or whatever, whether or not I'm using the product, because you don't ever hear about that unless it's some entertainer who they don't really use that product. I don't think most people really care when they hear a voiceover, but it must be convincing to the extent that they've bought into what I'm selling, and we've already established that what I'm selling, my goal is that it's doing no harm, but in some way enhancing your life, enhancing your community, enhancing your lifestyle.
How does it do that, Janine?
Yeah.
How does your
I
voice
think
enhance someone's life?
it's the delivery. It's the delivery of the message. It's
What
taking
happens
in
inside them? What happen? What? It's a good perspective. What happens inside them when they hear your voice? Get deep with it. I hear building trust. I hear supporting. Go a little bit deeper. My voice gives people the courage to take a chance. My voice makes people feel seen. My voice inspires a transformation. I don't know.
wow.
You can tell me how your voice impacts people. I hear it and I know it, and it makes me stop in my tracks and gives me goosebumps. I'm like, oh, that energy.
Thank
But
you.
what impact is your voice have on ears throughout your life? What do people say to you?
I'm laughing because I hear a number of things. I hear that my voice is calming, and whether or not if I'm singing or if I'm speaking is often the same reaction, and that reaction is just peaceful. And I have to go back to truth, but I'm having a little I'm challenged, but not in a bad way. Trying to describe it, and I think a lot of it just has to do with I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but just being just the humility, just knowing that it's hard to speak those words. I know what emotion that people share with me, and
Yeah,
often it's
what are
just
they?
I know
What
it's
are they?
so hard. It's just love, it's embracing, it's friendly, welcoming. This is now this feels like therapy. It is wow. Okay, Rebecca Gunter, you got me. It is a it's a feeling of comfort. It's a feeling of it's a grounding, and I'm trying to just find the words that people have said to me, and I'm telling you,
Yeah.
whether or not I'm singing or using my voice as like as a voice talent or just speaking. I've had someone tell me, "I love listening to your voicemail message." I'm like, "What?" And I d this is hard.
Yeah. I know. I appreciate you sticking with it.
Dang.
Here's one thing I can't believe you haven't said.
What?
Why haven't you not talked about God? Why have you not talked about the divine spirit coming through your voice box? Why haven't you told me that people feel closer to God when they hear you?
W Can I speak?
Yeah, I'm here for you.
Yeah, no, I didn't wanna, because I only see myself now, I can't see yours. I didn't know if you were gonna take
Okay.
another breath and go, "And why
Oh,
haven't you?"
I'm sorry. I forgot you can't see. I forgot you don't
It's
have the
okay.
studio perspective that I do, where I can see both of us and stuff.
It's all no, it's all good.
Okay.
I didn't go there because it feels pretentious. It feels because this is truly a natural ability that was given to me by God. A natural gift. It definitely is, and it's. I don't know why. In the context of this conversation, I feel as though I'm taking credit for it,
You're
and
not taking credit for it. Your voice impacts people. Maybe it was a happy accident. Let's just say that. For some reason, the way the DNA was mixed up in your petri dish, you came out with a voice that reminds people that God is real.
that God is real. Yeah, and that.
So
Uh,
that doesn't mean you're saying God is real because of my voice, but I can't imagine that you're not getting that feedback.
oh, I am. That's the thing. And I've talked to people. I don't know why this feels really personal, but I've talked to people. They've said that when sing, speak, that they feel it helps them feel closer to the Lord. And but see that it has nothing to do with me. I'm utilizing my my God given gift, and
The mountains of Montana have nothing to do with Montana. The way a peony opens in May has nothing to do with intention. It's
yes,
just like the human experience connects to like the divine in beautiful ways. You just happen to have a national park level voice and the like history and experience that brings that the depth to it. You've gone through what you've gone through, and that has allowed you to like deepen the complexity of it. But I think it's perfectly accurate to say that there's hardly a difference for somebody who has even a modicum of faith between a sunrise and your voice. They're both majestic in God's beauty. And I'm going to be completely transparent with you. I don't believe in God. Like, I'm not spiritual. I don't have the faith. I wish I did. I wish I got the spirit. I don't. It has never hit me ever in my life. I didn't grow up in a religious household. I was trained as an anthropologist. I see religion as a social construct. When I listen to you, I believe. So even the hardened skeptic can't not say this is like waking up and on a riverbed. This is like seeing a sunset on the beach. This is like watching a deer walk for the first time. This is like seeing a baby smile. Your voice is like a conduit to the divine. And I don't mean to say we're going to market it like that. Come get your conduit to the divine.
no,
But that shit is moving. It is moving. It
you
is
have just
truly
blessed me,
moving.
and I thank you because those are things those are words, emotions, descriptors that I could probably never use for myself. I couldn't. But if I'm able, and you know what? I really feel that some of that is the reason perhaps that I haven't really given any one area of using my voice other than calling my LC the Janine Sound Company. I know what God has given to me, and I've made attempts to utilize it and to use it for, and I think that's why I keep going to the good as if that's the only space. Good is good, don't get me wrong. But you, at the top of our conversation, you asked me, what does that customer look like in the why or something like that, client. And I said, local, blah, 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 because there's a part of me that it's hard to describe it, but there's a part of me I know, and I know this more now, like today, even it's been further made clear that I have a challenge with taking all the gift that God has given me, and I do use it in ways. I think I told you I was working with a woman, and she said, "Everything that you're saying about me, flip the camera, the mirror, and say those same things about yourself." And and that's difficult. It's not as though I don't think I have gifts because I do know, but being humble is not a way to this is I know this clearly. Being humble is not a way to showcase who God is to me and showing my gratefulness for what he's given to me. And I have to do, and I'm so glad that I'm here because that is one area that am moving towards. And it's difficult to articulate that without feeling as though, although I'm getting better, to articulate it without it being, this is who I am. I still can be who I am. I can still be a great entrepreneur and still giving back and all of that without having to decrease the gift. I can't,
Yeah, I
you know.
think that if we think about this more as like you're a vessel, then you're not going to dishonor that gift by using it in nefarious ways.
Yeah,
So we're
I,
not going
I
to
believe.
use that. You're not going to be a vessel for violence. You're not going to be a vessel for greedy profiteering. You're not going to be a vessel for poison, cigarettes, alcohol. I don't know, whatever you feel is poison. You're not
Yeah.
going to be a vessel for any of those things. And so, from a branding perspective, I just want you to not go to bed tonight afraid that Rebecca is going to be like, hear God's voice, get it for yourself. That's not the perspective, but it does shift us in. I care about the impact that my voice has because I recognize myself as a vessel and I
Indeed.
can't disrespect God's gift by using it to do more harm than good or not using it for good. And so it really does put us back on the audience when we think about what is good for them or what does them no harm. And that brings me back to your original list, which I'm going to read to you: supportive, trust, enhancing your life, calming, peaceful, genuine, humble, love, embrace, comfort, grounding, freedom, freeing, and welcoming.
Mm.
What does being enrobed in God's gift as you as a vessel, Janine, do for the listener? How does it enhance their life?
And they may not know this just by hearing it, but that, or maybe they may not recognize why they feel a certain way when they hear my voice, but I know that it's coming from within, as you said, that that vessel, what will it do for them? That was the question, right?
What will it do for them?
I believe that I got to think about this because I believe that it will make decision making about things that I hope that I'm promoting. It will help make that decision to do the thing, perhaps buy the thing. But I don't want to paint a picture that everything I say, go do that thing, but that you would have more confidence in yourself that I don't even know if that's what I want to say, but that others could move forward in their life because if you desire a thing and you hear that thing expressed from this vessel and you desire, maybe I will try that. I pray, I hope that it is a good thing because what's coming from me, I know it will be a good thing because I'm not choosing. I've chosen not to allow this vessel for harm. At least that's never the intention. So perhaps it makes it easier in decision making around whatever the thing is, lifestyle, that all those other things that we mentioned. I
I have
believe
an
that.
opinion.
Yeah, you say yes, please,
I have an opinion. I
please.
think your voice makes people feel less oppressed. Whether that
Agree.
whether that manifestation of a lightening of oppression allows you to participate in your community more, trust products or services that you previously distrusted because of historical underpinnings, engage in communities you might not have felt open to before. I think there's a real freedom in your voice, and it's around helping people feel less pressure from the weight of oppression because
Yes.
your voice is comforting, because your
Mm,
voice feels like home, because your
mm,
voice feels like them. It's
mm.
representation. As that's a hell of a representation to see yourself and your people, or to hear yourself and your people within this voice, and that voice is a divine vessel. I can only speculate because my own personal oppression is in limited boxes,
Mm.
not to the fullest expression of folks who are in the Black community. Frankly, just talking plainly, I only know what it's like to be oppressed as a woman or as a fat person. I
It,
don't know
it,
what it's like to walk through the world and have like relentless negative messages, but I can imagine when I hear your voice, it feels less awful.
I received and I can say this to you, I received a text from a friend, and she was going off to visit her family on the other side of the coast, and I just sensed something in the text, and so I wrote back and said maybe we should get together, blah blah blah, and then I added some other words of truly of just encouragement. And I don't even have to look it up, but she wrote, and I get this a lot. This is hard to share only because I feel like, but anyway, I'll say this, that she said, I'm so glad I reached out to you because you always make everything better. And that was through a text. But it has more to do with it is the God in me. That's the only way I can explain it. It is the God in me that allows me to express myself in a way that I hope takes me out of it, but yet communicates the good, that communicates the encouragement, that communicates the things are going to get better. You really and truly are going to be fine. And for me, it's like, hey, let's meet up. And I know I can't do that to everyone that I'm speaking to via a voiceover, but perhaps there is in this voice that message that comes through. So yeah, it is back to the listener. It is back to offering a good in those categories, lifestyle and so forth. And it could be a great car, a great safe car like Volvo. I don't know if I should keep mentioning their name. Volvo, I'm not picking them up, but
Tony's obsessed with a Volvo, and so we're always trying to get our you know how that phenomenon of once you mention a product like out loud, then suddenly you're inundated with the like
yes,
Amazon ads and stuff. So we just
yes.
go to our phones and go, Volvo. Just nothing here.
Exactly.
Just like talking to Volvo. We got some love for Volvo around here for sure.
Certainly do. I love that car. I mean, we bought one in 1990. We were living in England, and we literally went over to Germany to get the car. And do you remember when the red Volvos were really hot? They were like only like in your neighborhood, you probably saw two. One of them were was us. But yeah,
I
but
had a
anyway,
girlfriend who worked for Volvo in Germany helping military families purchase cars to ship home
you're kidding.
in
Well,
Kaiserslautern.
really, that could have been where we went, but this is the
I wouldn't
90s,
be
so I don't.
surprised. Well, this was probably, I don't know, 2008 maybe, probably not.
Yeah, but they're great cars, and my demos on on the website, the on Legacy Story Gifts. But if you look at the demos, you're here to. I think it goes something like "Welcome." No, something about. I'll just make this up. Welcome to the XC90. Blah 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 blah. And I thought, man, if I was driving in the XC90 right now, and that's how I felt. But I know the feeling, and I don't have to have used every product, but I know the feel. I know what it's like to ride in a Volvo. So it's easy for me to convey that message, and you're going to love it. And your family's going to be safe and all of those benefits. But that comes
I
from a
think
great
safety.
script as well.
I think safety is a huge piece. I'm reminded by I said branding is your reputation brought to life in words, actions, and images. My old branding mentor, I got my cane. My old mentor, she always said branding is a feeling, and I don't think I've ever expressed an entrepreneur who embodies branding as a feeling as much as you do, Janine.
Oh, wow.
Because the feeling that people get when they hear you, again, you feel less oppressed, you feel less hopeless, you feel less dragged down by like earthly bullshit. You feel safe. You hold space. Your voice holds space for people to be calm.
Mm.
That's awesome. That's a hell of a product to sell. Particularly when you do no harm. Particularly when you are honoring your role as God's vessel and you do no
Indeed.
harm, then the branding as a feeling is trust, safety, safe space. And it is coming from a level that no one could replicate or buy.
No,
People are buying, like, it's not for sale for the devil's work.
no, no, certainly not. Not at all. Not at all. And if I ever find out that it was using that way, I'm coming after you. No,
If that's right. That's right. And that's
seriously.
the integrity. And integrity is huge for you, I think. The
It
integrity of your
is.
voice, the
It
integrity of
totally
your
is.
actions.
Yep,
Yeah.
it totally is. And real quick, I worked on a campaign. I don't know if you remember, it was called the Truth Campaign years ago, and was against anti-tobacco and so it. And even prior to that, I was just really beating that same drum. But interestingly, I've always thought twice around alcohol, and be you, now, there's no point in me going through the whole thing. But the point is, there are there are products that people use and they're like, you know what? I'll have a glass of wine or whatever. And let's say there was an ad for a hotel and the script read, visit the blank hotel, have a glass of wine with your friends, and blah, blah, blah. I would have no problem with that. And not at all, because it's a lifestyle that they're designing, not necessarily showcasing just drink to oblivion or whatever. I don't know. I'm just trying to shape that whole good. I don't
Do
know.
no
So
harm. Yeah.
do no harm.
I think we're
Yeah.
really a do no harm. I think that you're for the audience. I think if I asked you, Janine, what's a change you'd like to see in the world? You could easily answer, a change I'd like to see in the world is that Black folks see themselves in everyday life
In
and
everyday
hear
life. Yep.
themselves in everyday life and are no longer tokenized or a diversity and inclusion
Yeah.
initiative or only having to lobby for validation.
Absolutely, absolutely. I can't tell you how often, even you looking at ads in a magazine, and just trust me, you go through, you go, wow, they don't have any black folks here, or even sometimes I say, there's no people of color here. Although that environment, that space, is it improving? Of course it is. At the same time, but not to the level where we can say DEI is in effect, where people are really trying to make the efforts that they really could. But those are decisions that's based on the audience that they think they're serving versus really looking at the data and finding a way to level the playing field, if you will. Engaging others with who look like me, who may sound like me, because we all do have a sound. I know we talked about that before, but I would agree with you. I would agree that yeah, I want to see balance. Only way to build balance is to increase your capacity, to increase your efforts in identifying different and identifying diversity. Yeah, and including those that you wouldn't necessarily think that your audience wants to hear from. Because if what they're communicating is through my voice, I can tell you, and just as you just enumerated, the voice behind it has a heart, and the heart behind it is going to reach your customer and your client, your whomever it is. Trust us when we say that. Give us the opportunity to show you. So, and many are, but there are many who cannot for various reasons.
Yeah. I think that you have a small initiative or a small bit of you is a Caesar. Do you know what I mean by a Caesar? Like the
Yeah.
archetype of a Caesar, like marching up the hill to defend.
Yeah.
There's a small part of you that is a Caesar for just the way media is made in
Mm,
the whole general sense. Can I be a maverick disruptor
mm.
within the industry of media production so that the lives I care about are honored? Can I make that change in the way that voiceovers are done? I think that's important to you on a small scale. The
I
biggest thing,
agree.
not the biggest thing, but like I'm for the audience, and also y'all better get your shit together.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Get your stuff together. You're gonna miss out. I think the train is moving, and I want to be not I don't have to be the conductor, because that goes back to teaching and educating with intention, but through action, through using my voice and the various platforms that we've discussed in other episodes. Yeah.
We're back to Black Voices for a new regeneration.
Yeah, we are.
We're all back to that. But we've made a case for it, a roundabout way, but we've made a case for it. That's really the
Yes.
position that we're in, is we care about how our voices and the media that people consume is made, and we
Yes.
care about how it is received, and we care
Yes.
about the action that it inspires, and
Yes.
we care about the people who make products, who sell services, are honoring that ecosystem
Yes.
by acknowledging their
Yeah.
data and doing
Acknowledging.
whatever they
Yep.
can to doing whatever they can to skew it in something that doesn't just favor their bottom line but favors the world, even if it's
Yes.
not obvious, so that your vessel maintains its integrity.
The integrity. Yes. Yes. Wow.
It's a lot to think about. I know, but this is
I
exciting.
I am I feel in this moment, I feel vulnerable, but in a good way. I'll tell you where that little joke comes from. But vulnerable and ex- yeah, exposed, but in a good way, because I'm hearing myself say these words about myself. I'm hearing you echo what you've heard, that I am challenged, because I am not Rebecca Gunter, but I am challenged in articulating in a way to shape a selling myself. And
In a
but
way you
that
feel good
feels
about. In
it
a
feels
way you feel
good.
good about. It's
Yes.
uncomfortable, but you know what I'm doing, right? I don't know the word for it. When you have a
Therapy?
plant, when you have a plant and it's growing up, and you pinch off the top growth so that it'll go this way. What's that called?
Yep. Yep.
I just pinched off your top, baby.
You just
That's all
pinched
I
off my
did.
top. You did. Because I literally can feel that, and I can't think of what that process is. But anyway, but you pinch back so that I can grow, so that I can, and also grow. Growing means thinking differently, broadening ideas around who I am, who I can reach, and how to go about doing it. Have never thought about the Janine Sound Company or whatever the new name will be in that same way. And some of that because of some of that limiting, and not lowering, just but limiting limited thinking about potential, and giving more thought about this and yeah, I've never gone through it. And I know I don't have to do promos, but anyone who is even thinking twice about going through the process, I can only say that I hope you've seen the the change, but I am thinking differently about the my future because I know a little bit more about myself, which is interesting.
You're in good company because that's how this process is, Janine. It surprises everyone when I hold a mirror up to them. We get really stuck in what can we possibly sell? What does our resume say? What have people paid me for before? What
Yep.
does the industry business model look like? Voiceover do this and they do that. That's not a brand that's going to make you feel amazing about what you're
No.
doing out there in the world. We could have come at this from for impact organizations who need a fresh voice to ignite audiences. We could have done
Mhm.
that. But to say that we're people who need to feel safe and seen
Yes. Mm.
through a sound experience that changes their life, or like wordsmith it, but those are two very different things. And for you to go
Totally.
out there and be like, my voice does no harm, what brand isn't going to be like, what?
Wow.
Versus I have a compelling and interesting sound that will add some color to your video. How about my voice does no harm? People feel
Wow.
so people feel so safe that they're inspired to change their lives, and your product can help them do that.
Oh my god. Yes. Wow.
That's a whole different selling point.
It
So
is, and giving them something to think about that they probably have not. They may desire it, but don't know what they're looking for, or oh my god, that is powerful. That's powerful, Rebecca.
now, does your media make you feel safe? If it does not, change your tone. And by tone, I mean like the person saying it. So that's a lot to absorb and digest. The good news is you don't have to articulate it. That is literally my job to articulate it. So, all I want you to do right now is just absorb and sit with it. If something doesn't feel right to you, you know what to do. Okay? Ping me, call me, send me a text message. But I'm going to move forward with what we've learned today over this discovery session moment
Yeah.
and articulate some positioning for us to
Mm.
consider.
Yeah.
We're going to come at it from three different angles. And generally, by seeing that stuff come to life for blank, who need blank, with this brand is this thing that delivers blank because only we can do it for
Oh my
these
god.
reasons. When we see that formula spelled out, then we'll be able to start polishing until we have the perfect plum. And when we
God.
do that, you'll know these are my people. This is what they need. This is me. This is what I deliver. And this is
Yeah.
why it all matters. We can articulate that then in your marketing and messaging. So that'll be the best. That'll be best. I'm so excited for you.
Amazing. I'm
Amazing.
excited.
Good.
Rebecca, I am excited, and there's nothing, and because all along the way, and I'll make this fast, but along the way, this journey, and I'm talking about today's journey. I'm talking about today's episode. You continue to just fine tune and allowing me to think, allowing me to learn about myself. And I have never experienced anything like that. Even just talking to a therapist or even with friends, never. It was hard, but again, not in a bad way, but in a good
It's
way. Do
Christ's
you remember Elf?
baptism by Alf.
Yes, Elf. You know what I'm talking.
I don't even know a tagline or a catchphrase, but
Yeah, I think he said you bring us down a whole octave, and he go, but in a good way, or something like that. I love that.
it
I
is
love
it
that
is
show.
absolutely crawling through the glass. Tony calls this entrepre-therapy, and that's what it feels like. But through the end of it, you'll come out a version of yourself that was always there, but you just didn't see it. So my job is to articulate that and help you see it and then communicate it to the rest of the world so that you can build a big, beautiful business and brand that you're craving. And I can't
That
wait to
is.
get there.
Thank you, thank you,
Yeah, indeed.
thank you. This has been wonderful. This has been inspiring and unexpected to feel this way after this session. I'm almost without words because of all that is has been laid upon my heart. Okay, I'm going to get really poetic, but everything that's been laid on my heart, and I know it to be true. I know it's truth. I, there's nothing that we've discussed that I think no, not quite. No, you don't. Again, it goes back to listening, and very rarely do we have people in our lives who are as good as you are in listening, and then making that shift, that transition, and then to develop it. I feel confident I feel confident in you, in me, and being able to not just live up to, but to all those words, the descriptions, everything about me. That is who I am. But I have found it difficult to, like I said, articulate it in that way. So
Own it to own it. It's
to
difficult to
own
own.
it. Very
You're
good.
on your
Yes.
way, baby. You're on your way.
Do we?
Welcome, welcome. Welcome to the back of Business in the Raw, the coaching the coach segment. Jilly, are you excited to see what Janine has decided? Every word being a yeah for her positioning statement. I want to
Oh
share it
my
with you.
God, I so am. I can't wait to see which one she's gone for.
It was a rare instance where she picked one positioning statement in totem with barely any changes. We made a small adjustment to it, but it's pretty exciting. So let me get to it.
Oh wow.
I'm going to
Yeah.
present my
Share,
screen.
share, share.
Yes. We ended up with two positioning statements, one for her as an individual voiceover artist and one for her
Mhm.
business brand. I'm going to read that one to you because that's the most exciting one. For companies, causes, and communities that need to sound authentic and accessible, the Janine Sound Experience is the voiceover and branded audio design studio that delivers enchanting engagement in high fidelity and a royal roster of talented and spirited Black and Brown VO artists ready to bring mighty messaging to life and hit your people right where they live because every script, song, and story needs a human heart.
I
Jilly,
am not surprised in any way, shape, or form that she went for that one and that there was very little tweaking to be done because that is just perfection. I love it.
I love personally that it doesn't smack you over the head with any sort of directive for inclusion or validity. It just
Mm,
is.
mm.
If you want
It
authentic
just is.
voices that hit you where you live, this is my royal roster of a profound experience in high fidelity. Isn't it going to be
I
fun to
just
build
love
this
it.
little business out?
Oh my goodness, so fun. Tell me about Janine's reaction when you read it to her.
It's profound, as you know.
Yeah, I know.
She just kept saying, "I agree with this. Like it meets me in agreement." And to me, that's alignment or an alignment
Oh
with your
yeah.
wildest visions.
Yeah.
She can be as big or as little as she wants to. She can be a single voiceover artist within the umbrella of the agency, or she can grow to expand with more voiceover artists and then become the go-to house for branded audio and Black voices. So I'm excited to see this thing come to fruition. And you have got your moment in the sun with your very own episode with Janine, in which you're going to help her put this into a business model and apply that milk's
that's
magic.
exciting.
What's it going to be like coaching Janine through this new business iteration?
Oh, I can't wait. I'm really looking forward to this session with her. I don't often come to the party when it's already in flow. So quite often I'm joining at the beginning when, there is so much to unpack. But because Janine's already had this time with you and got the positioning, it means that she and I can hit the ground running with this business model and really flesh out exactly what that's going to look like for her in terms of, clients, offers, pricing, which are the three things that make up the business model. So we'll be able to really do a deep dive, particularly into the offers, I think.
That's going to be so cool. You heard it here, folks. First, Jilly's own episode 6, season 1, Business in the Raw. Come see that Mokes magic next week.
It's a takeover. It's a friendly takeover.
Oh my God, you're finally taking. That's so sweet.
Yeah,
I take over Jilly's stuff all the time.
It's a friendly takeover.
I take over Jilly's podcast all of the time. So now I'm getting the roles will be reversed, and I'm going to see what it feels like.
Girl, let me tell you something. I looked at my last comment, and I'll certainly Ross, and I'll talk about that in a second. But the last comment, that last sentence actually should be a question. If the former, how should I prepare? I realized that I like to be in control of everything, and I know you do too. But I order everything. You know, I don't have to give an example because I mean just life in general. And I don't mean from being a mom or being a wife, not like that. I mean just even on a professional level, everything that I had to do, I had to prepare for. I had to have my own notes. I had to have, my own bullets and so forth. I don't care if I was going just to a weekly meeting or whatever it was. I had to prepare in that way. And I'm sure you have as well. But when you are taken out of that space of control, it truly is business in the freaking raw. I had no idea that I would feel the way that I do. About being so vulnerable. I'm the first to say sometimes you have to be vulnerable in order to grow and blah, blah, blah. Sometimes you have to stretch. Well, I'll tell you what, those are basically words until you find yourself in the midst of it. And I'm enjoying it, yeah. But at the same time, it is, I'm just being honest. I'm just being honest. It is a very strange place to be. So as I ask if the former, how should I prepare? Because in my mind, okay, are there things that I need to make sure I cover? Are there, comments that I really want to make? What should I be thoughtful about? I don't like rambling. I don't like a lot of you knows. And I find that when I'm trying to think, I say those words out loud. And I don't like being ill prepared or unprepared, and or feeling ill prepared and being unprepared. But this is sort of by the seat of your pants. It's not like there's not a purpose and we're not aiming towards something, because that I'm really clear on, even more clear today, obviously than when we first started. But I just want to tell you, this definitely is business in the raw. Your name is freaking accurate, and um, I just hope that people, when they see it, that they realize this is real. This is not, made up. This is not scripted. This not at all. As much as I would love for some of this to be scripted, I ain't gonna lie. I would love for it to be scripted because that's what I'm accustomed to. I got notes before me or whatever. I don't care what it is. For the most part, I have prepared in some way. This is hard. But now I realize that the preparation is to remain flexible, to be thoughtful, to be reflective, because that has helped me greatly. Um, and to be serious about what we're doing. And serious is not always necessarily being agreeable, but it's also not being combative. It's also not being um, 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 I can't even think of the word I'm trying to use, but I'll use the word, but I don't mean combative like you and I are arguing or whatever. But because I remember earlier on, like you would propose an idea, and I think I've said this before, you'll propose an idea, and I would go, yeah, but I'm thinking that blah, 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 but not knowing what the hell it is I even wanted, how I wanted to shape this thing. So, yeah, so maybe it's not being combative, it's just listening more and taking advantage of the guidance that I'm being offered while being um, engaged so that I can provide thoughtful comments. So this has gone on way too long, but I just wanted to share some of those things with you. All right. So yeah, Ross, that will be okay. I'll leave that another message.
All right, y'all. We've come to the end of discovery, and now it's time to get to positioning. I'm going to write 3 positioning statements for Janine, and we're going to jump into it next week and see what resonates and what doesn't land. Join us next week for Business in the Raw. Welcome to episode 4 with a very special behind the scenes segment, Meet the Producer. I'm extremely excited and so proud to bring to the Business in the Raw experience a little bit of fireside chat, or should we say video side chat, with our executive producer and creative director, Zach Bordeaux of Dozer Dog Designs. Zach, my friend, welcome to Business and the Raw, the show that you are actually making.
So glad to be here. It's been a heck of an experience getting everything up and running and getting everything going. We're so excited to be here, bringing Business in the Raw to the world and being able to expand our audience and expand our opportunities here on 100 TV.
100 TV is a super exciting place to be. I'm thrilled to be in the Monday lineup, but as you said, it took us a minute to get here. It wasn't an easy road because we've never done anything like this before as a team, but maybe you have. You spend your workday working with clients in social media. You're the master of the YouTube short. You're a content producing machine. Have you ever done anything that's 1 hour before?
Yeah, we actually do a podcast. Me and my mom actually do a podcast that we started for her business for Campground Accounting. We don't actually edit that podcast as much as we do this one. This one is more of a TV show style. We try to make it super engaging and high quality. Not saying that our other podcast isn't high quality, but it's more of a podcast. So this is more of a TV show. So this is a very one of a kind opportunity for me, from what I've seen, to make an hour-long show as engaging as a 3 to 7 minute YouTube video, which is typically what I do. We were talking earlier. I recorded for 12 and a half hours on Sunday, and literally like I do 3 to 7 minute videos, and I do YouTube shorts, and those are real quick, super engaging, high quality, bam, lots of action. And to be able to implement that action over an hour-long period is definitely something very unique. And I think that there's a huge potential for originally YouTube shorts went crazy. They went viral. YouTube shorts, TikTok, Instagram, short form content went crazy. And then now we're starting to see the rise of 3 to 7 minute videos that are edited the same way, with people like Alex Hormozy and Gary Vee and people like that doing those types of videos. And I really started to transition into those pretty early on. I took the ideology of short form content and was able to make it into a 3 to 7 minute video and make it into a slightly longer form piece of content. But to be able to expand that into an hour-long show, it just shows that not only A, it's a lot of work, but B, it's a very great way to keep people's attention and to be able to have a great show. And I think with Business in the Raw, we've really been able to capitalize on this and been able to do a lot with it.
What's your favorite part of doing long form?
I really think there's a lot more opportunity to dive deeper into the opportunities that are here for a 3 to 7 minute video, or even a piece of short form content. I got about 30 to 40 seconds to say what is on my mind and what point. It's a little tiny piece of information versus being able to really expand it, especially in an opportunity like this, to be able to actually help a business owner like Janine and then be able to pull those concepts, people's own businesses out there in the world who are listening, be able to pull those concepts and take them to the next level with that kind of ideology, super powerful. And I think that this is a great tool for business owners all around the world.
Man, I love that endorsement. I love that. I saw someone on TikTok yesterday actually talking about longer form content becoming something that he was getting known for and getting paid for. Is that an industry trend, or are we just maverickly bucking the system?
I think that podcasts have been around for a long time and they got super saturated. I saw a meme the other day on Twitter that basically said that some guy in Detroit was killed for not having a podcast. Everybody has to have a podcast nowadays. Every business owner podcast. There's too many of them. You can't listen to them. And especially with a piece of hour-long content, why would I listen to you over listening to something that's providing 10 times more value? At the end of the day, if you can make that super engaging, that's something that we haven't seen a lot of. It's one way to be able to really stand out in the industry. And that's what we always look to do, is be proactive, be innovative. That's the way that I try to stand out. I try to find clients that are hell-bent on making a name for themselves, as you put it so ever delightfully. But at the end of the day, there's not a lot of people making super engaging podcasts. Podcast is a cheap form of marketing that can be repurposed. It's cost-effective. But at the end of the day, this is what I see being really a future trend, being able to make super engaging podcasts that actually keep the viewer's attention throughout. It's really hard to keep someone's attention for an hour long. So that's why you really have to make it engaging.
Man, it's been a real challenge. Ross releases every Monday show in a live stream format. And when you're in the comments and you're watching all the other shows unfold around you, and they're all half an hour, I'm really aware of how our show is an hour and what a challenge it is for you to keep it interesting, to keep it moving forward and not feel like you're just in a kind of a Zoom scenario. How are you making that happen?
I think planning is the big thing. Being able to plan out and storyboard, this is exactly where this segment's going. This is the length that we need this. We got to stick to the deadlines. We have to have exactly 59 minutes is what I try to get every single episode to be, because obviously it's an hour-long show. So it has to be, you got to have the content there. And it has to be not just people talking, because it's not engaging. No one really cares. It has to be something extra valuable. And I think that value is the big thing at the end of the day. Being able to provide value throughout the whole hour long, super hard. But if you can make it engaging enough, and with the editing style that we use, I think that it's all my people are super trained. I will speak on my team all the time, every day. You go see my Twitter, I post about it like almost every day. I love my team. But to be able to have people like that can actually see from Rebecca's side of things, she just had the vision of, hey, this is what I want. I just want just a podcast, just cut out some filler words and we'll be good. And to be able to 10x that, I don't know if you can see, I got the 10x rule book over there. To be able to 10x that and really take it to a next level where we have high quality editing throughout the whole video, it not only takes a lot of work, but it's also time consuming. And to be able to do that, it's very powerful. Everybody who's watching to learn about what positioning can really do for your brand. And I think it's a great opportunity to learn about branded copy and really dive deeper into it.
Thank you for that setup, Zach. Anybody interested in positioning and messaging, Rebecca Gunter, as you've seen on Business in the Raw, and Zach and I talked about today, please come visit me at stonedfruit.com, STONEDFRUIT.com, Stonefruit, and explore Business in the Raw as a, well, that made no sense. Bagel!
Hey, that's why we're raw. That's why we're raw. That's why we're Business in the Raw. We got to articulate that authenticity.
That is absolutely true. If you wanted the polished version of me, you might have to come to my funeral, because everything else is absolutely authentic.